Right, hello everyone, and welcome again to our next, or rather our fifth or sixth installment of Technology Thursdays on this wonderful Thursday, 3 p.m. I'm very happy and honored to have Rajith from Volopay here with us on this installment of Technology Thursdays. I see some noticeable names again, familiar names, so it's always good to see you. And I hope that you do enjoy this series with us. Before we start everything, perhaps Rajith would like to say a couple of words, how things have been for you in this period.
Yeah, I know. Thanks a lot for inviting me, and it's a big honor actually. On a platform like this, it's thanks a lot. And just a few words would be a very quick intro about myself. I'm like CEO founder of this company called Volopay. We automate payables for companies, so that's what we do. And yeah, so I've been pretty much working in the fintech and the payment space for the last 8 odd years. So yeah, and what we hope to achieve is completely help companies, startups, specifically startups to start with, and SMEs to automate all their payables. So what we offer is like a corporate card solution. So every employee in a company gets a corporate card. Instead of them reimbursing, your employers can quickly give money into the cards, and they can make expenses of it. And also employees can just upload their bill payments and bills and just pay to any vendor. B2B payments can be done through our platform. So that's what we offer to the companies. Yeah, that's pretty much very high level view of what Volopay does. Yeah.
Right. Maybe we could share like a bit more with the audiences as well. How did you want to create? For startups, there's always a very interesting story. There's always some sort of epiphany moment, I would say. So, what exactly did you, actually see in this sphere that you wanted you to start Volopay?
Sure. A little bit, it's a long answer, so bear with me here. Okay, so the answer is something like this, right? Like I used to run straight off my college. I used to run a dev shop, like a dev agency. We scaled it to 50-60 people, and so I was like basically an owner straight out of college. So the thing is, we made a lot of revenue. Like revenue wise, we had a lot of money, but how much did I actually make? Not a lot. Because the biggest problem I think with all the companies is we really know on a monthly basis what revenue we are earning, but we never have a track of what you're spending. It's a real problem. Like if I look back at my business and if I were to dissect it right now, I can tell you that that's my single biggest problem. That is like we never had a track of what we were spending. I pretty much just know that BD guys spend a lot of money. I have no idea where they spend the money. I know that we spend a lot on subscriptions and all this vendor payments. So that's my that's the whole thing, right? Like that is at the back of my mind. I always knew I not do a good job of financing in my previous business, though we did a very good job building a very good business, right? Like 60-70 people, dev shop is not a small business, not even a big business, but yeah, somewhere in the middle, right? So that is something was there in the back of my mind. And the second thing is then I actually got the opportunity to work with a couple of payments companies in Singapore. So Matchmo, if you heard of them. So I used to work there, and one of the things that I realized there is the e-wallets, corporate cards, issuance to company. I got to know the whole fintech space, right? They were one of the early movers in Singapore, I would say, and I got to learn that. And that's where I figured out that that's an interesting solution that you have. Like if that was so I think as a company, always they focused on consumers. But I think always, the business cards and the B2B payments, the wire transfers, I think it made more sense for business, that whole solution. So I think that's where I always thought, like, way back, I had the website for, Volopay way back up in 2017. So it is not like a very new idea or something. I always wanted to do something. But the only thing is, just had to highlight this as well. That is a lot of regulatory changes in the last 1 year, which actually enables us to do this, this e-wallets and e-money license issuance for corporates. It has changed a lot, right? If I had to do this in 2017, it was not possible because it was like, it's very, very highly regulated space. You could not do issuance for corporates, but now it's, MAS has realized that it's a space which corporates can use wallets and everything to give to the employees, and employees can make payments of it. So that's a regulatory change that has enabled us to do this. And that's why you see not just Volopay, right? A couple of others also, I think, who are in the space who are trying to solve the problem for companies. And that's how I look at it. And that's how I look at this problem. And also just to take away from this, that is, after I was an employee, I was an employer, I also was an employee at a couple of these companies. And what I can tell you is I face this problem with every single company. That is, every time I traveled outside, I had to come back, waste 1 or 2 days, just trying to fill in the, all these reimbursement forms and everything. Totally hated doing it. Second thing was, even I was like, in charge of product teams and everything. Second thing was, just purchasing software was so hard as a team member, because you never get access to this corporate debit card. Banks just give you one debit card and you never get access to it. Like, it's a sacred thing, right? How can you give a company corporate card to all your employees to make expenses on behalf of the company, right? So these are like very usual problems that I kept seeing. And I knew this is like a very, very solvable problem with, like, e-wallets, the cards and all this stuff, right? So we just wanted to attack that problem. That's it. So that's the moment for us to, yeah.
Yeah, this is indeed a long story, but a very interesting
I'm
one.
so sorry. Yeah.
Oh, no, it's all right. And it actually ties in quite nicely. I mean, when we sent this EDM out to the participants, some of them, we actually asked them for some questions beforehand. So we actually collated a couple of them. And just nice, the first question that they, I would say, the theme of the question would mean like, are e-wallets the future for businesses?
I would say so, but it depends on how you look at e-wallets, right? That's a very contrary view that I have. That is like, businesses don't care whether it's an e-wallet or not, right? What you do with the e-wallet matters. In our case, or in most of the, what we have done is we used e-wallet to issue a corporate and Visa card on top. I mean, it's a Visa or MasterCard that we issued using the e-wallets, right? E-wallets at the end of the day, it's like, it's where it's a good way for fintechs like us to not have a banking license, but still do all the good stuff that the bank is ought to do, right? That's what it enables, if you really look at it, right? It's more of that, right? So from that perspective, yes, it's a future for businesses, but businesses don't give a damn whether it's an e-wallet or not, right? At the end of the day, it's like, they just want their problems to be solved. And e-wallets, I think, for fintechs like us, since, like digital banking license is yet to be, come out and everything, I think this is like a very good way for fintechs to go get the e-wallet stuff and, use cards and all this stuff and do, solve these problems of payables and receivables for companies. It's just like a very nice gateway is what I would say. Yeah.
Actually, there's a Q&A box at the bottom of it. I think as you were answering this kind of question, I guess we have a couple of questions coming in. Do hold your horses. There will be Q&A roughly at the tail end of the presentation, which should be about at the half an hour, 35 minutes mark. So it will be here. I will be choosing to answer it live together with Rajith. So, right, thanks for this insights to the e-wallet. So the next one, I mean, you've said about the corporate cards, I mean, in terms of reimbursement and things. So the next question that we do actually get quite often is, how does budgeting play? I mean, does it play a huge role in the company operations? Is it a very important thing, especially in times like this?
Yeah, so budgeting is like probably it's like all the people tell this a lot, right? That is like, if you don't plan, what do you have, right? At the end of the day, right? You have to plan. I think we all, I think, as founders and we get so involved in our day-to-day operations that we forget what are we doing, right? So I think it's very important, and if you really look at it, I think roughly all the companies get it right. The budgeting part, right? Everybody plans. There's a quarterly plan. Any decent company worth its money would do this. But the problem is, everybody, I mean, I'm pretty sure you also know this, right? That is, we all do this on an Excel sheet. Now, how do you enforce this? That is where I see as the problem, right? That is like, there is no single tool out there which can actually enforce your budgets that you have on your Excel sheet. It's virtually impossible, because you have your bank cards, you have your wire payments and everything, you have all your team just going out there and making expenses. How do you enforce this, right? That is where I see as a problem and an opportunity for people like us, right? Like one thing, if I can take an example, right? Like Revolut, I don't know if you have used Revolut, right? It enables you to, budget your groceries and all your stuff, right? At the beginning of the month, right? Even they find it very hard to enforce it. Like, it's just like, you have to still tag every expense and, try to put it somewhere here and everything. But the point, what I was trying to make is that's exactly what, we have tried to do with our solution. That's where sorry, it's a shameless plug, but I had to tell this, that is like, budgeting is a very important part, and we have tried to enforce it. Like one of the things, approaches that we've taken is, you set this budgets, right? Like that's exactly how companies work. That is based on cost centers, or based on teams, or based on projects. You have this budgeting. So you set the budgets for every team, and then you actually give the ownership to a team member. Like, okay, this $10,000, take this. Now you go take these cards, make this expenses or whatever it is, right? You take this, you're the sales head. This is the money that you will get, and that's how you put it in Excel sheet. But if you weirdly see it, right, every company, you give this money, but then again, for every approval, they have to come back to the finance guys. Why do you have to do it, right? You trust the employees to do it, just go ahead and do it. So that's something that we are enabling with our software, that is plan and enforce that budget, like very much within your payment flow. I think that's super important. That's how I would put it. Yeah, especially in times like this. Yeah. Anyway.
Thank you for that. And actually, I think just nice, we have a Q&A with regards to e-wallet in terms of foreign transfers, FX and stuff. Maybe just try to answer it live over here. This ties in nicely to our next question as well, that will be a common one that most companies ask. Would be, what are the best ways for a company to do FX and corporate tracking?
Okay, it's a good question, right? It's like, I think, sorry, again, bear with me. It's a slightly long answer. That is like, especially in Southeast Asia, what I see is, we have, like the economies are very interconnected, right? There's a lot of travel and trade between the countries, and this is not the case in any other parts of the world. It's a very obvious thing, right? Like, we travel a lot between the countries. We do a lot of B2B payments within these countries, and I don't know, like, Indonesia is just a few miles away, but it's more expensive to send money there than to US from here, right? It's extremely expensive also, like, all these corridors, payments are expensive. And whenever, and also, right, for tech companies, there's other problem. You pay your AWS, you pay all your software in USD. So there's a lot of loss in FX. That is, every time you make a card payment in foreign currencies, you're incurring 3 to 4% loss. That's one. So, and the second is, whenever you make the B2B payments, it's very expensive. Like, your banks charge like a flat fee and everything. For how I look at it is this, right? There's like, there are smart ways of doing this. If you're smart, I mean, some companies, just go to, TransferWise or something, they load the money and they make the expenses. Even TransferWise loses its efficiency at very high currencies. I mean, at very high volumes. That's very important. So it's very hard. If you ask me, like, how to do FX and corporate tracking really easily, there's no real answer there. Like, it all depends on what you do, right? Like, if you have huge volumes, you can go to Amex, or you can go to your bank and you can actually get a very nice deal for yourself. You can actually do it, but not really every company can afford to do it because you don't have the volumes to get it, right? So I think that's where fintechs again, right? Like, if you have a remittance license in Singapore, I can end with that. That is, there are some players who would do it, and it's even us, right? That is like, what we do is, there are much better solutions out there. There is like blockchain. There are so many other guys who actually can send this money or convert the money for you at a much better rate. So I think the only problem is, like, none of these guys have a very ready-made solution for the corporates. If there is one, I would suggest, please use it. It can be Volopay, it can be somebody else, but I think there could be some potential solutions, but it's hard. I cannot say one in top of my mind, but for small currencies, I would say there is TransferWise, there is Instagram, there is a couple of others like that. So who pretty much do a decent job, but yeah.
Right, that's a very impartial, I would say, answer of it. But yeah, it makes sense. I agree with you. Whatever works for you in that manner. So in that case, I think I mean we have heard what Rajith have actually shared. I guess now's the time for Rajith to perhaps show what Volopay can actually help. How the user interface is actually like. So yeah, Rajith, it's all to you. Feel free to share your screen.
Sure. Can you please give me the access to it? So sorry.
Oh,
yeah.
Here you go.
And let me know once you can see the screen. Yeah.
I can see it now.
Yeah. 1 second. Okay. So I'll just keep it very quick here. That is okay. Can you see? Okay, so yeah, so we are like this, unified spend management platform. That is like, you come, load money with this, and then we give you cards and the wire transfers, everything combined into one. Like, we have already being used by a couple of large companies in the region, like a lot of big tech companies like Tukitaki, Beam, funding societies, Detina, all this like CDC tech companies which really have this problem of accounts payable. They're all using us. And then what we see as a lot of these expense categories, if I really look at it, there is T&E, there is employee reimbursements, there is marketing expenses, all this, lot of this online expenses, which all need sadly a card to be used. And I would even say, vendor payments are slightly hard, because all you get here is like, a very horrible internet banking, solution that you get from the banks, which is like just as a maker and checker. It's not the most ideal solution to make a vendor payment in a company, I would say. So, and then there are a lot of problems that with spending that companies see, right? One is reimbursements is hard, right? First of all, company, employees are giving a credit line to the to the company, and then you're doing all this paperwork, uploading the receipts, keeping track of it. Not an easy job for finance guys, and finance guys are not hired to do all this data entry work. They are there for a strategic role, but we end up using them for all this data entry work. So, and the second thing is the high FX fees that we actually discussed. And then there is also this lack of visibility for the spend, right? This again was a very important point as I was highlighting about my own company in the past. That is, uh, whatever happens in the bank, like the payments and the card payments, they don't directly feed into your accounting system in real time, right? That's a big loss of, and you actually never know what you're spending in real time. That's a huge problem that I see with most companies, and that's something that we are trying to address also. And also cash advances are slightly hard, and I think the accounting reconciliation from the bank to, to all the payments made is very hard. And the second thing is the approvals, right? If you really look at it, let's say you have to make a wire transfers, your approvals are still on email, right? Why do you have to keep doing that? I mean, it's simply not very efficient is how we see this as a problem. So, so one other thing is, what we bring in as a solution is, like we bring in the control. That is like, you can just go on a mobile app, ask for the money that you need. You can instantly get it in your card, or you can just upload your invoice, and your managers can approve it, and the wire transfer, either domestic or international, just goes in, right? That's what we have built. And then, the second important thing, that the control that I told you, was even the budgeting thing, right? You can actually set budgets and give it to the teams for them to make expenses. So that's very important. And the third thing is even the approval for payments, right? Like, you can get approvals from your managers, and, there are all these flows that you can set. You can do it in real time. And what we've built is, then you have virtual cards, which is to this virtual cards on the fly, like, software you can issue, like, okay, just like that, every month it gets $50, give it to an employee cards, I would say. And also we have bill payments. So yeah. So then you have like this, the debit cards. I already mentioned this, that is debit cards. Now again, if I can shed some light there, right? That is, you must have heard of UTrip, right? Like UTrip is used for by individuals for making all their, whenever they travel abroad, right? Why don't you have an equivalent of UTrip for business? That's exactly what we're building, right? It's like, that's how we pitch it also. That is like, it's a UTrip for business. That is, we help for, you to save FX money whenever you're traveling abroad, whenever your employees going abroad, just load some money into it and give it to them, right? If you can use it for your personal purpose, you should be using it for your business, because you're spending much more in your business than personally, right? And then the second thing is the virtual vendor card. I think I already described it. Virtual cards are, it's sweeping the payment space generally, in Europe and US and everything, right? But you don't really see banks issuing virtual cards here. It's very weird, right? So, and I think that's, and even thanks to COVID, right? We have seen like 95% of all our payments go on virtual cards. It's very weird. Nobody even knew what virtual cards were, but now all they can bet on, or what they love the most, is a virtual card. Just issue a card on the fly. I'll just issue one and I'll show it to you later, and that'd be good, I think. And the second thing is even the bill payments, right? Like, it is like, we realized very soon that card payments is still like 10 to 20% of the spends of a company. The bulk of the other payments are usually wire transfers. And I don't think so, the bank internet portals are like capable, like are built the way to solve the vendor payments problem, right? And very expensive cross-border remittances and everything. So that's something that we do. You can get to see this real-time tracking of all the payments that you're doing. That's something that is very good in Volopay. And something that we do really, really well when you compare to any other, software tool or any other banking software is this, right? That is, we connect your accounting softwares. Like Xero is big here. QuickBooks is very big. What we do is we pull in your chart of accounts. We pull in your, your tracking categories, classes, whatever you call it in whatever accounting software that you have. We pull it in. We show it in your accounting software. You can just quickly, just choose one. Or we also learn, right? Once we know that this merchant, this is what it is, we quickly learn the chart of accounts and everything. And our system automatically realizes, okay, this is the GL code for this. This is what it is. And it's like instantly, as soon as you make a payment, it gets its GL code and everything encoded, and it goes and sits in your accounting software. You can't even dream of such a thing from your bank, right? Where even the bank feeds generally don't even work well. So yeah, so that's a little bit of background there. And also, right, like very classic fintech stuff. That is like, it comes with insanely good bank security and everything. And then I would just want to end the discussion of this whole presentation by saying that it's extremely cheap to, it's like, if you're paying like, let me give it an example, right? If you're paying like $100,000 with your card, using your banks, they generally charge you like $3,000, $4,000 as an added FX fees. If you're using it on a Volopay like card, it's just like UTrip, right? We charge around 1%, 1.2%, right? So basically what you're seeing is, you're saving like 2%. Like, that's huge savings for a company, right? Especially on card payments. And the second thing is, even like, when you're sending money abroad, it's way cheaper. extremely cheaper than the banks, and even at times I can tell you that it's even cheaper than TransferWise's in the equivalents of in the region. So that's something that we have enabled through very good partnership with the right people. So that's there. And what I'll do is, if you have the time, I can very quickly show the demo of the product itself. Is that okay with you? Can I like just 2-3 minutes?
Sure. Go ahead, Rajith.
Okay, sure. So what we show you is we show you the balance, how much you have in your you load money, we show you that. And I think just to answer the question there, it's a prepaid card by its nature. But what you can also do is, we have partnership with the very big financial institutions here. So we actually enable a credit line for you. So you will get a credit line from any of these companies, and you can load that money into it. So it's essentially a credit facility also. So you don't need to actually always load the money. Some of the companies rely on our credit lines for this. We enable it through a partner, but that doesn't matter. And what you actually see is this, right? In real time, you get to see what you're spending. This is something that you would never see in a general banking product, right? As soon as you spend, you get to see in real time. This one feature excites CFOs the most, I would say. And when you're selling to companies, and every company, every employee in a company gets like one physical card, and they get like unlimited virtual cards. That is like, you have this virtual cards, every software gets one virtual card. Just to give you an example, this is like a PandaDoc subscription that we have, and then every month they deduct like $80. This is like a real card with Visa. I mean, this is like a virtual card. Let's say you don't want the subscription, all you have to do is freeze the card, delete the card, whatever you want, right? So this is the way it works. That is, every employee in a company, you can issue like unlimited virtual cards, and everybody gets one physical card. And what we've very smartly done is, every physical card, you can reset the pin, you can freeze the pin, you can do all this classic stuff just in the app itself. And what you can also do is, you can even choose the balance. Like every physical card comes with multiple balances. So it's something we call as budget balance. Like you can choose from which balance you want to spend. You can choose one and you can spend, or after spending you can choose the balance. So what happens is, this is very important, this is what I think we were discussing, right? That is like the budgeting function, right? How it works is, you can structure the budgets. Like I've seen very interesting ways of people doing it. One of the classic ways is, you budget for a particular team, right? You set a budget of $10,000 SGD, and you add your entire sales team into this. What happens is, their sales team, their cards, everything shows up here. Now, as a sales manager or a sales head who controls this particular budget, he can load any amount into the cards, right? I can say, Rajat, his physical card gets $130. So what it essentially means is, my physical card right now has got like $130 into it from the sales budget. Now, if I spend anything out of this $130, it goes from sales budget. This is the way of enforcing the budget, right? This is what is missing out there, right? And then the second thing is, you don't even need this, all this web interface and everything. It's like a very cool web, mobile app that we have. So you just go to your mobile app. Let's say you are in BD guy. You just go, say that you're from some sales team or whatever it is, and click on the budget. Tell that I want to meet a client right now. I need $300. Then your manager sees this particular request in real time. He clicks on it. He says, okay, this looks like a proper expense. He approves the money, and boom, you get like $300 instantly on your card. It's not like this classical reimbursements, go fill the receipt and everything. Ask for the money, get the money. That's it, right? As soon as you get the money, what happens is, you get to see, you make your expense, right? As soon as you make an expense, it shows up here. You're not entering any of these things. These are all my real expenses that I'm showing you, right? Okay, you see that, I eat a couple of chicken rice somewhere. Okay, I just swiped it in some restaurant nearby. And yeah, it's like, it just automatically knows, right? I'm not filling anything, and I cannot even lie about it, right? This again goes back to the flaw of my first company, right? That is like, you cannot in any way lie when you're spending from a card. It captures the merchant, it captures the amount, everything is automatically captured. And then all you have to do is, your manager looks into it. He says, okay, this looks like a good expense. And what you've done really very good job is, it's like one-click integrations that you have with your softwares, like Xero, QuickBooks, and all these classic softwares that you generally use here, even like NetSuite and everything. Just one click, it integrates into your software. You don't have to do anything. And then you look into all these expenses, click on these expenses, and we pull in your chart of accounts and everything. Choose the chart of account, just sync these expenses. It'll be just available in your accounting software. And I'll just end with one thing, that is, we also enable the bill payment feature, where you can make a payment, you can add a vendor, internationally from anywhere, add them in, create the amount, send it in, it goes for approvals within your system. We debit your account, and the money is just transferred. So that's it. That's a very quick demo of what we offer. Yeah, I hope it helped. Yeah, can you?
Yeah, thanks, Rajith. Yeah, I was just looking through the website. I see this a bit interesting. I mean, before I go into that, I see you do shop quite a bit on Shopee.
Ah, shit. Okay. Yeah, you could do all that. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, yeah. We
Getting ready,
do a bit of. Yeah, sorry.
getting ready for the 99 offer and stuff, or
It's interesting that you asked me. What we are doing is, we are setting up our office, virtual office stuff, right? Like even now, I have my lights and everything. We have to set up mics and all that stuff, right? We have to buy it from Shopee. So we're just setting up home office. Yeah,
or
sadly. Yeah, yeah.
sounds like home office better than mine, but okay. Right. Yeah, I was going through the website. There's this thing about it's free to use or it's free to sign up. How does that actually
So
work?
we do charge like SaaS fees, to companies, beyond some, to some spending potential. But what we do is, it's actually essentially free because we offer like a 1% cashback on all their spends. That's insanely like, let's say, you're spending $10,000. What we do is we charge you like $100, and we give you, if you spend that $10,000 on my platform, we give you 1% back. So you are basically earning this money back. Let's say you are spending $10,000 on AWS. If it's an international payment, we give you 2% back. So essentially, you are getting $200 back, and you are earning $100 more, right? Like, than. So so what we do is, that's it, right? We charge SaaS fees, but we essentially give you cash back. So it just compensates for all the money that you're spending. So it's a no-brainer for companies, right? That's how I look at this
Yeah,
solution.
it is. I mean, it's actually, I would say, give a new meaning to smart money in a way. In a way, you're doing
Yeah,
cashback. Also, you're not spending. I mean, per
yeah.
se, yeah.
Yeah, you're never spending, right? You're using a great software. It is solving a real problem, and you're getting so much of cash back. So it's a no-brainer. And like, you can even get credit line, so you can pay after 30 days, 40 days. So that's also fine with this. So yeah, it's
Glad
completely
you.
no-brainer solution.
All right, glad you touched on that because there are a couple of questions I think that actually answered during your demo, but let me just try to answer them live. So the first question is this card a credit card or a debit card? I think this is pretty straightforward. Maybe you would like to expand a bit.
Yeah, so it is essentially a debit card because you load money and you do it. But we have you don't even have to go anywhere and check or anything. We have partnered with the right credit partners here, like huge names here in the region. They will give you the credit line. So if they give you the credit line, we don't even, like, for the 30 days, we don't even charge you anything. So it's just like a free credit line that you get, but we would not give you the 1% cashback for sure. Sorry, that won't happen then. But yeah, so yeah, get a credit back. The credit facility also is inbuilt into this. So the money goes into your, into your wallet. From there, you can decide whose card you want to spend it on, right? So that's it. So it's a inbuilt credit line, I would say, more like a charge card. Yeah.
Right, right. And I think that because during the demo, there's this thing called a physical card. So there's a question saying that is there a physical card?
Yeah, there is a physical card. Yeah, so if I can show that to you, right? So it's a very premium looking card that you get. Like, it's a, sorry, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, sorry, shadow
Okay,
my face. Yeah, it's like a black card. This is what you get. Yeah, you just
okay,
swipe it
okay.
wherever you. And practically, I have been surviving on this for the last 5 months everywhere. So yeah, that's why you see all this chicken rice and everything in between, right? So yeah, so it's like I swipe it wherever I go. Yeah.
I guess your card looks better than mine as well when you're going to swipe that on a chicken rice store. Okay.
Yeah, it's very premium, right? It's like this. Yeah, it's a
The
very
black.
premium black card. Yeah, we don't even put our logo, man. Like, we're not even a bank. I don't know.
Okay.
I could not convince Visa to remove it, but yeah, that's it.
Okay, okay, looks sleek. Right, and the next question is a really interesting solution that you gave. Can Volopay integrate with Zero or coming software, which I think you actually showed on
Yep,
the demo? Maybe
yep,
you would like to expand a bit how hard it is. I think you said
yeah.
you just click a button or...
Yes, it's like one click. So what we do is, we do a very hard touch, selling process, right? We onboard you. Like, we actually, it's like we help you. My team comes in. We help you with setting up the whole stuff and everything. We handhold you into doing this, but it's so easy that it's just one click. You give access to your Zero, and it just integrates itself. We automatically go and create a GL in your account, and that's like, it's a GL for Volopay. So whatever entry that you do, credit entry into Volopay, shows up there, and all the transactions that you do here shows as a debit transaction that are the GL. That's how it works. And interestingly, we are also in Zero's marketplace. So we got, like, I think we are one of the fastest guys to get into Zero's marketplace, like a record time. So yeah, I think Zero, like, I think somebody actually questioned this, right? Like, getting Zero integration is the number one thing for any fintech software out here, I would say. So yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So good on
great,
that.
great. Good to hear that. Right, so I guess for Q&A, it's still open. So if you do have any burning questions, feel free to pop in and type in the box below. So
Sure.
before that, maybe let's move on. I think
Sure.
I have a couple of questions that I've managed to suss out for the rest of the participants. Sorry, I think the audio was a bit choppy earlier. I apologize for the intermediate interference. Hopefully it will get better. Although, like I said, I guess my home office is not as good as yours, so bear with us on that front. Right, so
No
the
worries.
next one. Is it tedious to adopt a digital payment solution / wallet?
As a company, I mean, as a company, if they want to
company.
do a wallet, yeah. So I think it's not very tedious. Thanks to things like Corpas and everything. Singapore government has made it like extremely easy, right? It's just like one click and you get onboarded. But we might need some documentation, especially for the credit line and everything, because you're doing remittance at the end of the day. It comes with a lot of legal stuff and everything there, right? AML and all that stuff, money laundering and all that laws apply there. So it's not at all tedious. It's just like I mean, and just one click of Corpas and all that, some 2-3 documents and you are in. So it's super fast. Yeah.
Are there any like use cases perhaps that you have done for companies that actually benefited?
By use cases, I mean, so sorry.
Yeah.
Can you just touch upon like what do you mean by use cases in the sense like any particular?
Okay.
Okay. So one, I mean, if I can answer that, right, it's like we try to get into a company and try to get all their accounts payable through our platform. If you really ask me, we want to solve all your payables problems, right? But it's interesting that every company comes with its own unique quirks, right? Some companies have a lot of subscriptions, right? If you really look at it, some companies have a lot of subscriptions. So what we do is we bring them on board, they load their money with us, then they issue a lot of virtual cards for all the different subscriptions for the corresponding employee, right? And the employees at the end of the month, they upload the invoice into it and your entire accounting and everything is done without sharing your debit card, right? And especially since it's COVID now, there's a very high demand for this, right? That is like you have your employee sitting somewhere else. Before it was like the finance guy secretly going there and entering the key just next to him, right? That's what used to happen in the office every other day, right? But now finance guys cannot go walk up to the people and enter these details. So now virtual card is the right solution. So I think that's something that has really worked very well for us. And and also this high demand that we have for the bill payment feature, especially cross-border, since it's so expensive with the banks. So these two things I think are like very high, I see very high usage in our platform right now. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Moving on to the last questions that I would say is a common theme, but I'm not sure if it's actually answered or maybe part of it. So they do ask, what is the future of virtual cards? I mean, you have shared there's some form of regulations that have been actually done a couple of years back. So what exactly is the future of future cards? For virtual cards,
yeah, it's a very interesting question because we are a little slow. I think in our region we are a little slow in terms of when you compare to the rest of the world. But I feel virtual cards are like a very good way to make a lot of these payments. Like simple example I can give you with one use case, right? You can go and tell your team that you should buy a ticket only for $500, right? Like you can have this restrictions for travel ticket and everything, right? Or you go and purchase something from Taobao or whatever the website, Shoppie, you want to purchase something, right? The good thing about virtual cards is instead of telling them or instead of just trying to enforce this verbally and then have an argument with them after they make the payment, the good thing is you instantly issue a virtual card. Like just tell their name, tell the details, and just issue it. He instantly gets it on his mobile app. He goes and makes a payment for it. So that is the smartest way. That is the smart thing that a virtual card gives you, right? So instantly load some X amount, give it to him. He just takes it, makes a payment for it. And also virtual cards gives you that other thing that I told you, right? It's basically free. It's free, right? It's completely free. So it's basically you're taking your pool of money and you're deciding how you want to make the payments for it, right? So I really think it solves a lot of problems for a lot of companies, especially with subscriptions, one-time payments, and all these unique other things that is there. I really think I am betting big on virtual cards, especially considering I'm seeing the way the people are adopting it. As I told you, 95% of my payments are on virtual cards. It's not a joke, considering there was zero education of this stuff earlier, right? I really think there is a need for education on virtual cards that is missing in the region for sure. But Singapore, I mean, like always, does catch up on all these trends very quickly. I really think we will catch up on that trend, and I think we can be at the forefront of that trend for sure. And so definitely we're betting big on virtual cards.
I think I mean, these are the kind of questions that I've managed to garner, and maybe to there's one more Q&A, but maybe before we go into that Q&A, I think there's still something that I thought just came to my mind. There are a couple of companies that we have met that actually who are also in the call, who might be looking at this webinar series, right? They range from maybe from the F&B, may range from the wholesale trades, it may range from the manufacturing and stuff. Is that like I mean, every company will need to make payments as per se. Do you think is there any sectors that is particularly, I would say, slow in adopting or might be face a bit more of a inertial or say resistant to change? Do you see this as you meet?
I think the resistance does not come from an industry specific. It all boils down to the momentum or whatever it is, the inertia of the finance staff there. Trust me, it's not. It depends, right? Some finance guys, I've seen some insanely good people, who just love the concept of virtual card. Now they are like much bigger experts than us actually in usaging the budgeting and the virtual cards and everything, right? Then there are a lot of other guys I see, they just use this for the savings purpose. They don't really make good use of the budgeting and the virtual cards and everything. They just use this because we are way cheaper. That's fine, that works for me. But if you really ask me, it's all depends on who you've hired as your finance guy. If it's totally a function of what is his adoption this thing, or I think it's just a function of it. But in general, what I've seen is tech companies are very fast at adopting these things, definitely very fast. And I've even seen very weirdly F&B is like, they are very good at adopting it, because it's also some very interesting use cases when it comes to managing every branch of every franchisee and everything. There's a very good use case there. And also I've seen this very nicely getting adopted by logistics companies and everything, where they have a lot of staff going every day out there and making a lot of payments on behalf of the company, right? So whenever there's a lot of BD guys or logistics staff, it's a no-brainer solution to have. Like, you should give them a card. They can't come and file expense claims to you and waste one day of their week, right? Such a waste of this thing, right? So I think there are some industries where the solution is really, really well suited, but in general, the payments is a problem for every single this thing. That's how I would put that.
Yeah, I mean, I think a good point would be the financial guy, the CFO. I mean, how the actually finance team function in a way, or is their end goal and I would say objective in adopting kind of e-solutions payments.
Correct.
Right. Quick. Mike, the question is: the debit top up possible outside Malaysia?
Outside Singapore would be the right question, because we just take money from Singaporean companies right now. You have to be a Singapore entity, because MAS does not allow any other entities to actually so it's issued at a corporate level, so corporate level to all your employees. So the top up has to be done from your corporate account to us, from a Singapore account to us. So that's very important, because otherwise it's like taking money from it's money laundering, right? If I take money from everybody else. So it's actually, it has to be coming from a Singapore entity, sadly. But we do plan to be in each of these countries. That's a good thing, right? We plan to be in Malaysia. We plan to be in Philippines. We plan to be in each of these countries very soon. So we are launching in Australia next month. So yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. So we'll be very soon in each of the countries. So nobody needs to worry. They're all gonna get Volopay cards or get troubled by our sales staff very soon. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting, because we do have an ASEAN audience as well. Maybe you could say again. I mean, you are planning to open in Malaysia, in Indonesia.
Yeah, we plan to open Australia first. Sorry, it's outside SEA, but still Australia is a very, it's a very interesting space, and then we are opening Indonesia, then Philippines, Vietnam, and, Malaysia. And I mean, we had to figure out the order, but yeah, we will be there pretty soon in the next 1 year. Yeah.
Right. Well, good to know. So those who are listening in these countries, watch out for Volopay. Okay. We're still, I mean, as we wait for the Q&A, if there are any, perhaps do you have any words of wisdom for the fellow SMEs or startups?
Yeah. So, I don't think so I'm qualified enough to, be imparting a lot of wisdom, but still, like my thought is this, right? I think if you're an SME, you have a finance staff, or, you think you are doing any kinds of payments, I think our solution is like a free software at the end of the day. You should be adopting either us or anybody like us. Otherwise, you're losing out on a big opportunity. That's how I look at it, right? There are other solutions out there. I would not say there are not, but use one of us. Otherwise, you're losing out on a good and easy way to manage your finances. Like you saw, I don't know if you remember seeing this thing, all my expenses. It's just like so easy, right? It's just so easy. You make all your expenses. I don't have to worry about it. It all gets nicely synced into your accounting software. It's a dream for most finance guys. Okay, let me tell you this, right? What I've heard from some of them, right? They don't believe us with what our offer is and with our software. That's something I've seen with a lot of companies, right? Or the cashback that we give, and the software and the ease of use and everything. Sometimes they just don't believe us. I mean, that's exactly. I'm actually paraphrasing what a customer was. I mean, a couple of them have actually told me, that is, guys, this is not right. Like, they're not seeing this, right? They're not seeing something like this. So that's my point, right? Too good to be true is the point. That's, I'm not saying it's like the best software in the world, but the point is they're not used to it, right? There's a crazy lack of education. It's not like we're not the first guys in the world to do this. It's already there out there in the world. Just that we are lagging behind, and it's time to adopt this. How I would put this. Yeah.
All right, so guys, you hear it here first. Don't lag behind. Be the first to adopt. Do not be afraid. And yeah, I guess it's the way to go, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Man. Yeah. So yeah, is there anything else? Any other questions coming in, or yeah, we can call it a day. Otherwise, yeah, up to you.
Yeah, I guess this is it. I mean, it has been a very insightful sharing, and I guess the way you have actually showed the user experience for Volopay, I think is actually different. So for those who are watching now, and of course later we'll be posting it on our LinkedIn channels, on the YouTube channel as well. I'll be leaving the website for Volopay, perhaps maybe the linking profile of Rajith as well. So if there's anything, feel free to contact him directly. I think that's fine, right?
Definitely, please, please do. That's the whole thing, right? We are here for that. So I'd be more than happy to get any queries or any questions. More than anything, questions are always welcome. Yeah.
Right. Okay, great. Then I guess just nice. It's a good 45 minutes.
Thanks.
And
Thanks.
Thanks, Rajith. And thanks for
Thank
those
you.
who have just
Bye bye.
Okay, bye guys.
Thank you. Bye guys. Bye bye guys. Had a good time.